Welcome back, dear listener, to another enchanting journey with the Midnight Library. As you settle into your comfortable spot, whether it's a cozy bed, a favorite armchair, or a quiet corner, take a moment to let the day's worries drift away. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to be transported once more to a world of wonder and tranquility. Tonight, we'll float among the clouds and discover the art of true relaxation. So, let our tale begin. Several weeks had passed since Oliver's first encounter with the Midnight Library and his journey through the enchanted forest. The experience had left a profound impact on him, subtly shifting the way he moved through his daily life. He found himself more aware of the small moments of beauty around him. The way sunlight dappled the sidewalk through leaves, the soothing rhythm of rain against his window, the gentle hum of the city at dawn. Yet, as the days wore on, Oliver found the bustling pace of city life slowly creeping back in. Deadlines loomed, traffic blared, and the constant ping of notifications on his phone created a near-constant state of tension. While he tried to remember the lessons of the enchanted forest, putting them into practice in the midst of his hectic life proved challenging. One particularly stressful evening, Oliver found himself lying awake, his mind racing with thoughts of unfinished projects and upcoming presentations. The gentle ticking of his bedside clock seemed to mock his inability to find rest. As the hour hand crept towards midnight, Oliver felt a familiar tug in his chest, a calling he hadn't felt since that first magical night. Without fully realizing what he was doing, Oliver found himself getting dressed and stepping out into the night. The streets were quiet, a gentle mist hanging in the air, softening the harsh edges of the city. His feet seemed to know the way, carrying him through winding alleys and quiet squares until he once again stood before the weathered stone facade of the Midnight Library. As before, the door swung open at the final stroke of midnight, welcoming Oliver into its warm, book-scented embrace. The floating candles cast their soft light over endless rows of bookshelves, and the distant crackle of a fireplace invited him deeper into the library's comforting depths. "Welcome back, Oliver," Luna's melodious voice greeted him. The librarian appeared from between two towering shelves, her silver hair gleaming in the candlelight. "I was wondering when we'd see you again." Oliver smiled, already feeling the tension begin to leave his shoulders. "I didn't mean to stay away so long," he admitted. "I've tried to remember what I learned in the enchanted forest, but the world can be a noisy place, filled with distractions," Luna finished for him, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "Sometimes we need a reminder of the peace that lies within us. I think I have just the story for you tonight." She led Oliver to a different section of the library, where the bookshelves seemed to be made of softly glowing alabaster. From one shelf, she pulled a volume bound in shimmering silk that seemed to change color as it caught the light. One moment, a soft blue, the next, a gentle lavender. "The Cloud Castle," Luna said, handing the book to Oliver. "A tale of finding stillness amidst motion, and the art of true relaxation." Oliver took the book, feeling a cool breeze whisper across his skin as his fingers touched the cover. Luna guided him to a reading nook he hadn't noticed before. A plush window seat overlooking a vista of star-strewn sky that certainly hadn't been there when he entered the library. "Remember," Luna said softly, as Oliver made himself comfortable, "the magic of the story lies as much in you as in the book itself. Let go of your worries, open your mind, and allow yourself to float free." With those words, she seemed to fade into the shadows of the library. Oliver took a deep breath, opened the book, and felt himself being drawn into its pages. The first thing Oliver became aware of was the wind. It whispered around him, cool and fresh, carrying the scent of rain and open skies. He opened his eyes to find himself standing on what appeared to be a floor of clouds, soft and yielding beneath his feet, yet somehow solid enough to support him. All around, as far as the eye could see, were clouds in every shape and size imaginable. Some were fluffy and white like mounds of whipped cream, others dark and brooding with the promise of storms. Shafts of sunlight pierced through gaps in the cloud cover, creating a constantly shifting landscape of light and shadow. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a voice, like the whisper of wind through leaves, said beside him. Oliver turned to see a figure that seemed to be made of the very air itself. Her form shimmered and shifted, sometimes clearly defined, other times blending into the surrounding sky. Only her eyes remained constant, a deep, calming blue, like the heart of a clear summer day. "I am Aurora," the figure said, her voice rising and falling like a gentle breeze. "Welcome to the realm of the Cloud Castle, Oliver. We've been expecting you." "You have?" Oliver asked, still trying to take in the impossible landscape around him. Arya's laugh was like the tinkling of far-off wind chimes. "Of course. The clouds have been whispering of your coming. They say you seek peace in a world of constant motion. There is much you can learn here, if you're willing." As if in response to her words, the clouds beneath their feet began to move. Oliver felt a moment of panic, certain he would fall. But Arya placed a comforting hand on his arm. "Trust," she said simply. "Let yourself be carried." Taking a deep breath, Oliver forced himself to relax. As he did, he found that the clouds supported him effortlessly, carrying him and Arya across the sky with gentle rocking motions. The movement was soothing, like being cradled in a hammock, swayed by a summer breeze. As they traveled, Arya pointed out the wonders of her realm. They passed through a rainbow, its colors washing over them in a dazzling display. They watched a flock of birds soaring by, their wings barely stirring the air as they rode the wind currents. In the distance, Oliver could see shapes in the clouds, towers and turrets, arches and domes, constantly forming and reforming as the winds shaped them. "Is that the Cloud Castle?" he asked, gesturing to the ever-changing structures. Arya smiled, her form shimmering in the sunlight. "In a way, yes. The castle is everywhere and nowhere, always changing yet always here. It's less a place and more a state of being, the perfect balance between movement and stillness." As she spoke, the clouds beneath them began to coalesce, forming a more solid path. Ahead, Oliver could see a grand archway forming, its pillars twisting and curling like strands of silk caught in a breeze. "Come," Arya said, gliding forward. "Let me show you the wonder of living between earth and sky." They passed through the archway, and Oliver found himself in what could only be described as a cloud garden. Delicate structures that looked like a cross between flowers and clouds swayed gently in an unfelt breeze. The air was filled with motes of light that drifted lazily like glowing pollen. "Here," Arya said, gesturing to a cloud formation that looked remarkably like a comfortable chaise lounge. "Rest a while and observe." Oliver sank into the cloud chair, marveling at how it supported him, while still feeling as light as air. As he relaxed, Arya began to speak, her voice blending with the whisper of the wind. In your world, Oliver, you're surrounded by constant motion. Cars rushing by, people hurrying to and fro, even the air filled with the buzz of technology. It's easy to get caught up in that frenetic energy, to feel that you must always be in motion, always doing something. She gestured to the landscape around them. But look at the clouds. They are in constant motion, yet they never seem rushed or hurried. They change shape, merge and separate, travel vast distances, all without strain or stress. This is the first lesson of the Cloud Castle. You can be in motion without being busy. Oliver watched the clouds around him, seeing the truth in Arya's words. Despite the constant movement, there was a profound sense of peace in the sky realm. Nothing seemed forced or hurried. Everything flowed with a natural, unhurried grace. How can I find that kind of peace in my daily life? Oliver asked, thinking of his hectic days filled with deadlines and obligations. Arya's form shimmered as she considered the question. Start by becoming aware of your own rhythms, she said. Just as each cloud moves at its own pace, each person has their own natural flow. Some days you may feel energetic and productive, other days more contemplative and still. Instead of fighting against these natural rhythms, learn to flow with them. As she spoke, Arya gestured to the sky around them. Oliver noticed that some clouds moved quickly, racing across the sky, while others drifted lazily. Yet all of them seemed perfectly in harmony with each other and their surroundings. The second lesson, Arya continued, is the art of being still within motion. Observe. She raised her arms, and suddenly they were surrounded by a whirlwind of clouds. They spun around Oliver in a dizzying dance, yet he felt no fear. In the heart of the whirlwind, where he and Arya stood, there was perfect calm. Even in the midst of chaos, you can find a center of stillness within yourself, Arya said, her voice clear despite the spinning clouds. This is the eye of the storm, the calm in the center of motion. In your daily life, when you feel overwhelmed by the rush around you, take a moment to find that still point within. The whirlwind gradually subsided, the clouds settling back into gentle drifting shapes. Oliver felt a profound sense of calm, as if he had found a new center of balance within himself. Now, Arya said, her eyes twinkling like stars glimpsed through breaks in the clouds. Let me show you the joy of cloud shaping. She led Oliver to an open expanse of sky, where clouds of various sizes floated lazily. With graceful movements of her arms, Arya began to mold the clouds as if they were clay. Under her touch, they took on fantastic shapes, majestic castles, frolicking animals, blooming flowers. In the Cloud Castle, she explained as she worked, we understand that change is constant. Rather than resisting it, we embrace it, finding joy in the act of creation and recreation. This is the third lesson. Flexibility and adaptability bring peace. She gestured for Oliver to try. At first, he felt awkward and unsure, his attempts at shaping the clouds clumsy and formless. But as he relaxed and let his imagination flow, he found the clouds responding to his touch. Soon, he was laughing with delight as he created cloud sculptures that shifted and changed even as he formed them. Well done, Arya praised. You're learning to go with the flow, to find joy in change rather than fighting against it. Think about how you can apply this in your daily life. When plans change or things don't go as expected, Can you adapt with the same ease and joy as these clouds? Oliver nodded, seeing how this lesson could help him navigate the often unpredictable nature of his work and relationships. Instead of getting stressed when things didn't go according to plan, he could learn to adapt and find new opportunities in change. As the day wore on, though time seemed to flow differently in this realm of endless sky, Aria showed Oliver more wonders of the cloud castle. They floated through cloud halls that echoed with the music of the wind, visited serene cloud pools that reflected the colors of the sunset, and watched the dance of lightning in distant storm clouds. Throughout it all, Arya shared more wisdom. Like the clouds, learn to let go. They don't cling to their shape or position, but allow themselves to be reshaped by the winds. In the same way, practice letting go of stress, worry, and things you cannot control. Notice how the clouds don't fight against the wind, but work with it to travel great distances. In your life, look for ways to work with the forces around you rather than constantly struggling against them. See how even the darkest storm clouds are lit from within by lightning. Remember that even in dark times, you have an inner light. Trust in it to guide you through. As the light began to fade, painting the sky in breathtaking hues of pink, gold, and lavender, Arya led Oliver to a cloud balcony overlooking the entire realm. The view was spectacular, an endless expanse of sky and cloud, with the first stars just beginning to twinkle in the deepening blue above. "It's time for you to return," Arya said softly. "But before you go, there's one last lesson. Perhaps the most important one." She gestured to the glorious sunset before them. "Take a moment to simply be. Don't think about the future or the past. Don't try to hold on to this moment or wish it were different. Just experience it fully with all your senses." Oliver did as she instructed. He felt the cool, silky touch of the clouds beneath his feet, the gentle caress of the wind on his face. He breathed in the clean, crisp air of the high sky. He listened to the faint, melodious whisper of distant winds. He watched the play of light and color across the cloud landscape, more beautiful than any earthly sunset he had ever seen. For a timeless moment, Oliver felt completely at peace. There was no separation between him and the sky around him. He was the sunset and the clouds, the wind and the first evening star. In that moment of perfect unity, he understood true relaxation. Not an escape from the world, but a profound acceptance and embrace of it. "Carry this feeling with you," Arya's voice came to him, seeming to speak from both within and without. "Whenever life feels too hectic, too demanding, remember the lessons of the cloud castle. Find your inner stillness, flow with change, and take time to simply be." Oliver felt a great peace settling over him like a warm, comforting blanket. His eyelids grew heavy, and he had the sensation of gently floating, supported by the softest of clouds. When Oliver opened his eyes, he found himself back in the window seat of the midnight library, the book, The Cloud Castle, resting lightly in his lap. Outside the window, the first light of dawn was just beginning to touch the city's skyline, painting the clouds with the same glorious colors he had seen in his journey. Luna appeared silently beside him, her smile as warm as the rising sun. "Welcome back, Oliver," she said softly. "I trust you found what you were seeking." Oliver nodded, feeling more rested and at peace than he had in years. "Thank you," he said simply, knowing that mere words couldn't express the gratitude he felt. "The pleasure is ours," Luna replied. Remember, the Midnight Library is always here when you need a reminder of the peace that dwells within you. Now it's time for you to return to your world, carrying a piece of the Cloud Castle's serenity with you. As Oliver made his way home through the quiet pre-dawn streets, he felt as if he was still floating on a cloud. The city was beginning to wake up around him. Early commuters hurrying to work, delivery trucks rumbling by, the distant wail of a siren. But none of it disturbed his inner calm. In the days that followed, Oliver found himself better able to navigate the stresses of his daily life. When stuck in a traffic jam, instead of getting frustrated, he would take a moment to notice the shapes of the clouds overhead, remembering Arya's lessons about flowing with change. During hectic days at work, he would take brief cloud breaks, finding a quiet moment to close his eyes and reconnect with that sense of floating serenity. He started to notice and appreciate the clouds in his daily life, the way they painted the sky with ever-changing beauty, their silent testament to the art of being in constant motion, yet always at peace. On particularly stressful days, he would whisper to himself, "Be like a cloud," and find his tension easing. Slowly but surely, the lessons of the Cloud Castle were becoming a part of him, helping him find balance and peace in his busy life. And on nights when sleep proved elusive, Oliver would close his eyes and remember the feeling of floating among the clouds, letting that memory carry him gently into dreams. And so, dear listener, as our tale of the Cloud Castle comes to a close, take a moment to notice your own sense of peace and relaxation. Feel the comfort of your bed or chair supporting you, just as the clouds supported Oliver. Let your breath become soft and easy, like a gentle breeze. Allow any remaining tension to float away, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. As you drift towards sleep, know that the wisdom of the Cloud Castle is always with you. Like Oliver, you too can find moments of serenity in your daily life, learning to flow with change and discover stillness even in motion. Remember Arya's lessons. Be aware of your own natural rhythms and learn to flow with them rather than against them. Find your center of calm in the midst of life's storms. Embrace change with flexibility and joy, seeing it as an opportunity for growth and creativity. Let go of what you cannot control, just as clouds release their rain and move on. Work with the forces in your life rather than constantly struggling against them. Trust in your inner light to guide you through darker times. And perhaps most importantly, take time each day to simply be fully present in the moment, experiencing life with all your senses. As you continue to relax, imagine yourself floating on a soft, comfortable cloud. Feel it supporting you completely, cradling you in its gentle embrace. With each breath, you sink a little deeper into this perfect relaxation. The sky around you is painted with soothing colors, soft blues, gentle pinks, and warm golds. Wisps of cloud drift lazily by, their shapes ever-changing yet always beautiful. You are safe here, perfectly at peace, floating between heaven and earth. As sleep begins to embrace you, know that this feeling of serenity is always available to you. Like the Midnight Library itself, it waits patiently for when you need it, ready to offer comfort and renewal. Drift now into peaceful dreams, carried on clouds of tranquility. May your sleep be deep and refreshing, and may you awaken feeling renewed and at peace, ready to face your day with the calm wisdom of the clouds. Good night, dear listener, and sweet dreams. The soft sound of birdsong gradually brought Oliver back to wakefulness. As he opened his eyes, blinking in the gentle morning light filtering through his curtains, he was struck by a profound sense of peace that seemed to linger from his dreams. For a moment, he lay still, savoring the feeling of complete relaxation. His body felt light, almost as if he was still floating on a cloud. The usual morning rush of thoughts about the day ahead was noticeably absent, replaced by a calm clarity. As Oliver went about his morning routine, he found himself moving with a new sense of ease. Even as he prepared for another busy day at work, he felt centered and unhurried. The kitchen radio announced upcoming rain, and instead of feeling annoyed at the prospect of a wet commute, Oliver found himself looking forward to seeing the clouds that would bring the rain. On his way to work, caught in the usual morning traffic, Oliver remembered Aria's lessons. Instead of tensing up and feeling frustrated, he took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. The clouds were thick and grey, heavy with impending rain. Yet Oliver saw beauty in their shifting shapes and the way they transformed the quality of light. "Be like a cloud," he murmured to himself, consciously relaxing his grip on the steering wheel. As if in response, the traffic began to move, flowing like a river finding its way around obstacles. At the office, Oliver's new sense of calm was immediately put to the test. His boss announced a last-minute change to an important project, setting off a flurry of panic among his co-workers. In the past, Oliver would have been swept up in the stress and urgency. Today, however, he found himself able to step back mentally, observing the situation as if from above. Remembering the way Aria had shaped the clouds, Oliver saw this change not as a disaster, but as an opportunity to create something new. His calm demeanor and creative approach not only helped him adapt to the new requirements, but also positively influenced his team, helping everyone work together more smoothly. During his lunch break, instead of eating hurriedly at his desk as he usually did, Oliver took his sandwich to a nearby park. Finding a bench, he sat and watched the clouds roll by as he ate. He noticed how they were in constant motion, yet never seemed rushed or stressed. Inspired, he decided to adopt this unhurried yet steady pace for his afternoon tasks. As the day progressed, Oliver found numerous opportunities to apply the lessons from the cloud castle. When a colleague was rude to him, instead of reacting angrily, he let the negativity pass through him like a cloud passing across the sun. In a challenging meeting, he was able to find his center of calm, contributing ideas with a clear mind, instead of getting caught up in office politics. By the time Oliver headed home, the predicted rain had arrived. But instead of hunching his shoulders against it, he turned his face up to the sky, feeling the cool drops on his skin as a refreshing reminder of his journey through the cloud realm. That night, as Oliver prepared for bed, he took a moment to stand by his window and look at the night sky. The clouds had cleared, revealing a canopy of stars. He thought about Luna and the midnight library, about Aria and the cloud castle, marveling at how a single night's journey could so profoundly change his perspective. As he drifted off to sleep, Oliver felt as if he were once again floating among the clouds, perfectly at peace. His last conscious thought was a sense of gratitude for the magical library that appeared at midnight, and the endless worlds of wonder contained within its books. In the depths of the night, in a realm between waking and dreams, the midnight library stood waiting, its warm lights glowing softly behind weathered stone walls. Within its endless shelves, countless stories whispered of worlds yet to be explored, each one a journey of discovery and growth. And there, in a cozy reading nook, Luna the librarian smiled softly to herself, sensing that somewhere in the sleeping city, another restless soul was one step closer to finding the peace they sought. Soon, she knew, the library's door would open again, ready to offer its magic to all who needed it. Until then, it would wait patiently, a sanctuary of stories, a keeper of dreams, and a gateway to worlds of wonder that exist just beyond the veil of our everyday lives.